like yours. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing us lots of pictures in those happy moments during your participation in those pageants. And thank you for showing us your university. Our next speaker is Kondrich from Pittsburgh. He's joined by his daughter Chloe over here beside me and beside him, and also by his wife Margie. Margie, thank you for coming. Kurt served as a police officer for 20 years and received many awards for service to the community. Shortly after Chloe's birth in 2003 with Down syndrome, Kurt learned that up to 90% of children diagnosed prenatally with Down syndrome are not allowed to be born. Kurt left his career as a police officer, went to the University of Pittsburgh to receive a master's degree, and focused his life mission on being a strong advocate for our most vulnerable children. Kurt spoke at the United Nations last March, met with President Donald Trump and Vice President Pence in January, and you see lots of those pictures in the internet of Chloe with the President and also with the Vice President and Mrs. Pence. And Kurt and Chloe's advocacy efforts led to the Pennsylvania legislature's overwhelmingly passing the Down Syndrome Prenatal Education Act, otherwise known as Chloe's Law, in honor of Chloe, of course, in July 2014. Kurt is currently assisting with legislation in Pennsylvania that will ban ending the lives of children diagnosed prenatally with Down syndrome. He will speak to us on the priceless gift and abilities of those with Down syndrome. Kurt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Archbishop, and thank you. I want to thank CFAM for inviting us here today. There's a voice of light and truth in the United Nations. Sorry. In the United Nations, so I thank you for having us here for this amazing event. And I'm a visual person, so I was asked to come here to share with you as a family what joy and what goodness and what light Chloe has brought into our lives. So I would like to share our family journey. Chloe was born in 2003, and she placed us on an incredible journey, just an absolute amazing journey. When Chloe was born, I was serving as a police officer, and there was a plaque above my police academy back in the 1980s that read, "You can talk about what's wrong with the world, or you can do something about it." And after Chloe's birth, as a family, we decided to do something about what we soon found out to be a prenatal genocide against these children. During our pregnancy with Chloe, my wife's pregnancy, we were offered and we refused prenatal tests, even though at that time my wife was 40, I was 40, we were high risk to have a child with Down syndrome. When you hear the word risk, it connotates fear, connotates danger, connotates something not good. But that's what was being told to to all families, basically. You're high risk to have a child with Down syndrome. Chloe was born in 2003, and we did not have those tests. But after her birth, it was kind of a negative reception. We actually had people come up to us after Chloe was born and say to us, "Didn't you guys have the tests?" And I would correct them and say, "You know what you just said to us? You just said to us, why didn't you kill your daughter?" So I would say that the prenatal testing that's occurring today in the Down syndrome world represents the ultimate form of discrimination, prejudice, bigotry. My wife likes to use this term prenatal bullying. And a lot of focus in today's world is on hate crimes. I can't think of a greater hate crime than identifying, targeting, and eliminating human beings because we say they don't meet the cultural mandate for perfection. It's actually, as a police officer, I would say it's a prenatal death sentence being given out to people who are completely innocent. So after Chloe's birth, we learned that 90% of these children are terminated. As we said, it's a prenatal genocide. And I like to put this picture up here. Which mammal in this picture receives protection and which is endangered? Which has been 100% eliminated from a country? The one on the left, the bear, gets protection. The one on the right, the eagle, gets protection. The one in the middle does not receive any type of protection. And what's interesting, I'm a student of history. In 1973, we legalized the killing of our most innocent children. In the same year in 1973 in this nation, we criminalized the killing of our most vulnerable animals. Okay, I like animals, but I don't think that, we should criminalize killing animals but legalize killing children. It's a crime with severe penalties to harm which unborn endangered species. Last year I was kayaking and I noticed there was turtle eggs, and it was a severe penalty if you broke a turtle egg because a turtle egg is an endangered species. But a turtle egg is also an unborn turtle. So if you think about it, when my daughter and Michaela and all these other beautiful children are unborn, should they not receive special treatment and special protection? Because it's unborn mammals. They're being systematically eliminated on the verge of extinction. Actually, they are extinct in Iceland and becoming extinct in other countries. So I just thought that we should also give them the same protection that we give sea turtle eggs, which are unborn turtles. So after Chloe's birth, we had a lot of people talking about her disability, but we decided as a family we were going to focus on her abilities. And so my daughter Chloe's 14. She's amazing. And what is she doing at age 14? Well, Chloe went to preschool. She was reading at age 3, sight reading. I will tell you that Chloe reads better than most of the police officers I used to work with. So that's not saying much, but I mean, she does. She loves to read. She loves to write. She has great writing skills. She's just an amazing young lady. She went to kindergarten. Chloe goes to school. She's fully included in her school district. That's her in kindergarten, first grade, second and third grade. And if you notice, Chloe has a little purse with a peace sign on it, and I like that because it signifies that she comes in peace, that these children bring peace to this world. We're here at the United Nations. We know the world is just filled with turmoil and anger and hate and violence and killing and all this. And I said, as a police officer in 20 years, I don't ever remember a child with Down syndrome going on a shooting spree or selling heroin or starting a war or a suicide bomber or bullying somebody. My daughter doesn't care where you're from, what your skin color is, what your background, what your religion, if your hair's purple, if you got piercing, if you have a tattoo. She doesn't care. She'll love you. She loves you because you're genuinely a human being. And I would argue that those are the type of people we, at this moment of history, desperately need, not just in this country, but in this world. They unite us. They don't separate us. That's Chloe in 4th and 5th grade with her brother. My son Nolan, that's 6th and 7th. That's her with her dog Tina, who she likes to control. And that's 8th and 9th. As you see, she rides a school bus. Chloe has a great life. Like I say, she's in high school right now, which as a father, to have a daughter in high school is scary enough. But she's in high school. She was at a dance last week, and she enjoys life. She loves life. She has many abilities. She plays volleyball. She plays Frisbee. She's a heck of a baseball player. Baseball season's starting up. We're blessed to have the Pujols Foundation here who do amazing work in the Down syndrome community, and Chloe just loves. She got to meet Albert Pujols, was just absolute thrill to her, because she has such a passion for the sport. Chloe's picture has been on the big screen over at Times Square. If you happen to wander over there while you're here in New York City, her picture has been up there 3 times, which is pretty cool when you think about that. A little girl that who represented a group of people being systematically eliminated has her picture featured on the big screen. And Chloe's best friend is her brother. My son Nolan is 19. He's an amazing young man also. He can't be here today because he is in college. But I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking about, think of all the missing siblings out there who've had their brother or sister who was diagnosed prenatally with Down syndrome wiped out because the culture said they shouldn't be here. And I will tell you, my son at 19 is a better man, is a better person, is a caring, empathetic. He's the kind of guy you want your daughters to meet because of his sister. She has turned him into a better type of man. He's the type of man that we desperately need in his culture. And when you think about all the siblings that have been wiped out because of these tests, which really are which are false, which are giving out a mandate which we don't need to follow as a culture. Chloe's on the book. It's called Brilliant Souls. If you're going to talk to me afterward, I can see about getting your copy. She gave the Archbishop one and signed one over, and a couple other people. And it talks about the blessing and gifts of children with Down syndrome. She's many articles, many things about her things. She received a Emmy Award for a TV series, Facing Life Head On. It was about baseball. She's visited the French consulate. You saw the Lejeune Foundation. She visited with Madame Lejeune up at the French consulate in New York City. That's her with Madame Lejeune, whose husband discovered the 21st chromosome. So what did Chloe, as a father, I think about the effect that these individuals with Down syndrome have, like I said, not just on the world, as Michaela so beautifully testified, but just on their families, on people. If it wasn't for Chloe, I would still have been a police officer. I'd probably been dead, to be honest with you. I know your question, did I like coffee and donuts? Yes, I did. I did eat a lot of coffee and donuts, but I would have probably been a police officer. I never in a million years thought I'd be an advocate for human life, but that's what Chloe transformed me. She led me to that. And after she was born, when I learned how they were wiping out all these kids, like I said, as a police officer, I'm thinking, here's a group of people who I'll never have to arrest and never cause any problem, any chaos. And I found out they're killing them off systematically. And I remember I said, not on my watch. This is not going to happen. So I just started advocating. I started going to the Capitol, taking Chloe up with me, just started planting seeds, started telling people, breaking down barriers, misconceptions about these children. And, Chloe and I began working to establish a law in Pennsylvania so that when a woman gets this prenatal diagnosis, she would get factual, supportive information on what Down syndrome is. And in July of 2014, just grassroots advocacy. When somebody tells me they don't know what to do, don't tell me you don't know what to do. If you're alive and breathing, God has a purpose for you. There's amazing things you can do. And our grassroots advocacy, like I said, led to Chloe's law being signed in 2014. That's Chloe signing it. That's her little friend Alex, whose family's from Korea, and that has led right now, we're working in Pennsylvania, if you want to hear more information later, to actually ban aborting kids with Down syndrome. And we're phrasing it under disability rights, and we're phrasing it under a genocide, because it is genocide. It is something that has to stop, and we're working on that legislation right now. But that came as a result of this advocacy effort. That's some of the coverage from Chloe's law, and it actually did receive, if anybody in here knows how to read Korean, it did receive second page of the Korean Times, Chloe's law, so it had a worldwide impact, and it's led to kind of a tidal wave to where we're at right now by exposing this genocide, eugenic movement against a beautiful group of human beings. The message from that law was that, the power of one. Here's a little girl young lady who's 14, who's really made a difference. There's another young lady over here. They've made amazing impact on our culture. You can't measure. It's priceless. And that's what that law has done. Chloe received the Healthcare Business Times Leadership Award back in 2015 for her advocacy. And I met with Dr. Alveda King, who was a niece of Dr. King, gave her a copy of Chloe's book, and she shared this quote from Dr. King, which is one of the quotes I'd like to leave you with today. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. One of the things that happened during the Holocaust, it wasn't that everybody was purely evil in Germany and they were just running around. The problem was they didn't say anything. There's sins of commission and sins of omission. And sins of omissions at times can be far less destructive. And that's not speaking up when it is time to speak. So, by having this event here today, we hopefully, when you leave here, you'll be encouraged to speak up, to be a loud voice for these individuals who have Down syndrome. And we knew Archbishop told why we have the 21st, and I came up with this wanted poster as a police officer. I had a lot of wanted posters in the precinct, the people are wanted. So this one is people with Down syndrome are wanted, not dead, but alive. And the reward is priceless human beings, because they just bring that amazing impact into the world. Chloe recently and our family were asked to come down. We were invited down to the White House. I have no idea how that happened. It was God's hand, and we got to meet with the president, got to meet with the vice president. And when the president walked by Chloe, what was kind of cool was she's familiar from seeing him on TV. She slapped him on the arm, to get his to get his attention. And he came over and was talking to her, and he bent down to her and said, "She's beautiful." And he kissed her on the head, and Chloe gave her a copy of her book. And so it was really cool. It was an amazing event just to see how God can take a child like this and place them on the forefront on a day where we're celebrating and the sanctity of all life and put her up there. So it's amazing. And I will share this other quick story. When we were standing there, Chloe started pointing up in the sky while the president was speaking, and all the Secret Service agents were looking around. They're all nervous and stuff. Maybe there was a drone flying. And I said, what do you see, Chloe? She goes, "I see him, Dad, I see him." I said, "Who do you see?" She goes, "I see Jesus." So did she see him? I believe she did see him. I believe that she sees a lot of things that we can't see. So it was pretty awesome. So what is my current mission? Why am I here today? My mission is no different than being a police officer. I'm a DADvocate. It's to serve and protect. It's to serve and protect our most vulnerable. And I always say God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. This is a position I never thought I would be in this season of my life, but I feel very blessed to be here. And one of my favorite people in history was Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and this is what I'll leave you with, is silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. And shortly thereafter, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was taken away and executed for his speaking up against the Holocaust. He was one of those voices that did speak up and was instrumental in exposing what was happening, but it cost him his life. So as we leave here today, please, I ask you just to speak up, to be a voice. I believe that this is the issue of our generation. I believe that sitting here today, we're sitting in a moment of history where God will judge on how we act and how we fail to act. So what a greater place in the United Nations to gather these forces and to move forward on this mission to defend and protect our most vulnerable children. And like I said, the final thought, Chloe has no malice. She'll never intentionally hurt anybody. So I tell people, somebody said to me recently, what disability does Chloe have? I said, none. I said, if you want to see disabled, screwed up, messed up, really rotten people, put on the evening news, okay? Because I guarantee you that's where the disabled people exist. That's where you'll get a good glimpse of them. Chloe's not disabled. It's our culture that's disabled. It's our culture that's disabled by wiping out and committing this eugenic act against these beautiful human beings. So please be a voice, and as Proverbs 31:8 so eloquently said, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. So I thank you. God bless you. I thank the Holy See for inviting us here and hosting this amazing event. And Chloe and I and my wife Margie will be here afterwards if you'd like to meet us, and we'd love to share the information and stuff we're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt, for describing for all of us how amazing Chloe is and how her abilities are so much more noteworthy than whatever disability she might have. Thank you for modeling for us as a dad, as an